Hello there, veg lovers. Now, from the last video, if you watched it, I was telling you I was going to find a place in which to grow my seedlings before they go out into the garden, because I haven't got a greenhouse outside. I haven't even got a shed I can use outside, and I've got no windowsills in which to put anything on. Well, not windowsills that are deep enough to put anything on. So what I've had to do is I've used my little workroom I've got upstairs, which in the house, which is well, used for everything, for my hobbies, from art, for many other different things. So it's a bit of a mess. I've got shelves just full of rubbish, full of everything that really needs a good clear out. But I've also got in here a good sort of bench that was put in specifically to do my hobbies. Now, I thought to myself, this is a good place to actually try and grow some vegetables in. But I don't get any sunlight here. It's sort of north facing, so it's very sort of bleak, and I'd got to find a way of which I could do this. So this is what I've come up with. Now, this is my little bench, my little workbench, which will do quite nicely for potting up mixtures. What I did buy is I bought a little heat mat, as I thought for items such as chilies, things like that, that really need some heat to get them going. I thought this might be a good compromise in which to do this, to use a mat in here. Obviously I need lighting, so I've bought one of these alien looking things, a lamp with 4 arms to it, which has got grow lights on there for growing vegetables. So that gives me quite a bit of space then in which to grow some seeds. As you can see in the background there, I have got toilet roll holders, because I thought I would keep them for beans, because I thought they were quite useful for beans. And I have got these little sets of just little plastic trays, which I would grow most of the seeds in. And they've all got lids, which is quite handy as well to keep them nice and warm. And they've got little markers that came with them. They're a good little set, those were, to buy, and they weren't very expensive, and I thought they were quite a good idea to start off seeds when you're on a budget like I am. I found in the house some foil roasting trays. Now I thought they would be also a good idea to actually use for when I'm potting, so that the soil can go into those and not all over my workbench. I've also got here some seed potatoes, which I've put out ready for chitting. Now, if you're like me, if you've got a small plot and you haven't got much room to grow things like potatoes, then it's a real nightmare to try and buy just a small amount of potatoes, because they come in bags with about 10 or 20 of them in there, and they're just going to go to waste. They're just going to, if you don't know anybody who's another gardener who can use them, then they're just going to end up in the bin. They're just not going to be used, and it seems such a waste of money and such a waste of potatoes. So now I found these. These were from, I can't remember now if it was the organic gardening company. I can't remember what it was now, but I found these, and they were for patio sets. They were replacements for patio sets, and I thought, well, that's great. I wouldn't have minded another extra 1 or 2, but I thought these will be fine for what I need in my garden. So what I have here, get into place, I have got Maris Pipers, obviously is the main crop. I have got the second earlies, which I've got Vivaldi, which is 3 of them. And for earlies, of course, Charlotte, which is the most popular. Now, one of the Charlottes sort of broke off, and a little bit broke off. But I thought, well, we'll see if anything, a sprout can come from that, because I know that you can cut potatoes in half and grow more of them. Obviously, with only having this small amount, that's going in 50 litre tubs outside, they should be a decent sized potato instead of cramming too many into one tub. So that's what I'm hoping for. These pots, again, were really good pots to grow on something a bit bigger, maybe tomatoes, and then they can just be planted straight into the ground. So I think this little workstation will work for me, and hopefully I'll be able to grow seeds in here and plant them in my garden. This little rough sketch I've just done is just a simple sketch. Obviously you can take your time and do a really beautiful one and paint it, and perhaps do that when you have the time to do it. I just wanted something to show me where my pots are, and they will be numbered so I can correlate this to the list I have of plants I want to grow, and then I can just look at the number on the plants list and the number correlated on here and just plant straight into it without having to think, now was it that pot or was it that pot? It just is my system to make things a little bit more simplified. Please feel free to find your own system. This just happens to be the way I do it. Obviously at the bottom here I haven't got room to put the bottom of the garden in where the little A frame is, so I've just put a little A at the bottom there, and I'll number it at the side so I know that that's just going to be where salad crops will grow, for instance. Now I just want to number what I've got here, which things are going to go into. So there's two little pots at the top. I think I'll start with. That's 1 and that's 2. The big bed will be 3. Little one there, 4. Now I'll put that as 5 because even though it's an old compost bin, I will probably grow something in that, like a pumpkin, like I said. Then we've got this one here, that's 6, and we've got 7, now 8. Now 8's already got something in it, but I'll put that down anyway. Then we've got these two little ones, that's 9 and 10. Then we've got the 11, 12 and 13. Then we've got 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, oops, pen's running out, 19 and 20. And then we've got the little A frame, which will be 21 on its own. So that is my planting area of what I've got available to use. Obviously other ones have got things in them already. I've got fruit in certain pots and I haven't labelled them because they are just going to be permanent. But this is now set out, so what I can do is I can have a list of, this is the veg I would like to grow. There's a couple of extra bits on there like nasturtiums and purslane and oregano. And there's probably a couple more actually on there like parsley and coriander, which were on the small beds, which I might just keep on there anyway. But this is the list I've got. Now all these have got to fit in my raised beds. And not only have they got to fit in these raised beds, they've got to be planted at the right time frame to go in, and then to do succession planting afterwards for them to follow on from previous crops. So this is where I need to sort of get my head around this now to see what sort of dates I'm going to be starting to grow these in this little room here. And so they'll be ready then to transplant into the garden once that other crop has finished. So this is what I'll be working out. I shall work out then what's going where and which different varieties, because obviously different varieties will want to be planted at different times. So this is the plan for now. Now these are some of the seeds that I've got that I'm going to be growing. I've got perpetual spinach because I thought that was going to be easier to grow. It wasn't going to bolt like true spinach, but I thought we'll try that. I've got a rainbow chard, so that will be pretty, hopefully. Radicchio, I've never grown those before. I had to grow over the winter, but it's a bit too late for planting, so I'll try those anyway. I've got the Giant's winter spinach. I may or may not try that. The kale, definitely, because I loved the kale. That worked out really well. Now the radishes, I've got a variety called watermelon, which looks just like a watermelon. So I'm hoping that, I mean, I'm not a big fan of radishes. I'm hoping these will be a little bit less bitter, but we'll see. We'll have a go at those anyway. I've got organic wild rocket to grow. Spring onions, I've got ordinary green ones and I've got some red ones. These are stronger flavour, so I thought I'll give those a try. Obviously mixed lettuce, who doesn't have those? I've got some pak choy to grow. I've got the beetroot, which is the one I can't pronounce. But do I dare try and pronounce this? Barbastiola di Jonkia? I could be wrong on that, but it's the ones with like rings inside anyway, the pretty looking one. So I thought we'll have a go at that one. The courgette black beauty, and I've got kidney beans. Now I've never grown kidney beans, and we eat a lot of kidney beans, so I thought it'd be worthwhile having a go at trying that. I've got some kohlrabi. Now I tried a couple in autumn and I liked them because I'd never had them before, so I liked them, so I'm growing those. I've got some nasturtiums I want to put in a small pot. And I've got, these are black turtle, they are black beans. Again, it's not something I've ever grown before, but we eat a lot of black beans. So this is something I want to grow and leave on the plant until it's all dead, essentially, till October, and then pick them when they're dried. These are French Neckergold climbing beans, the gold coloured ones. So I thought those would be nice. I like them better. Sugar snap peas, which, as I mentioned briefly, I think in my first video, that my dog, Honey, absolutely adores these. She totally ripped up my plant when I grew these last time and ate everything off it. So I'll have to make sure that I can keep them somewhat safe from the dog. Turnip snowball, which is the small white ones. Again, I tried them, but I'm too late in the season for them. Now leeks, I've got the Musselburgh leek, but I've got another variety which I think I'll be growing instead of that. Now this is celery blush. Now I picked this because it's a self-blanching celery and it looks quite pretty. And I know celery is notoriously difficult to grow, but I'll just try just a few, just to see if I get any joy with those at all. Purslane, now that's something I never even thought about growing. But I saw it online when it said that purslane was, you know, so full of goodness that, and they were good to add it to a salad. So I thought I'll grow a little bit of purslane. Of course, carrots, Autumn King, is definitely one I'm going to be growing for the autumn. I've also got some tumbling tomatoes, tumbling toms, to go in the hanging basket, which I didn't put on my list, which I should have done. I've got a little hanging basket which will hold hopefully 3 of these tomatoes in there and will give me some nice little cherry tomatoes. Now, organic cucumber pasca. Now, I am hoping, I don't know what I'm going to do with this because I haven't really got much in the way of undercover places in which to grow cucumbers. So I've got that little bit that I've got a cover for. So I'm going to probably grow 1 tomato and 1 cucumber in there. I'll try. I'm not sure about the space, but we'll try. And then do the same with 1 outside, and just to see, plant it later in the year to see if we can actually get any joy with that. Now the leek lion prize taker is one that I probably will grow. Again, we've got kale, we've got cabbage. Imagine the leek bandit is the other one. So I don't know, I'll have to look up which one of these I'm going to grow, because I can't grow, I don't think, more than 1 variety. So I think one's an early one. I think this one, the prize taker, I should grow now if I want to grow, if I want to plant it, I need to plant it now. But the leek bandit I can grow in March. So it all depends really. I think that one's to blanch up. I don't know whether you both have to blanch them both. I'll have to read on that. I think you do have to blanch them both. So it's just a matter of which one I'm going to go for with those. I've got a black carrot nebula. Now, I'll have to admit, I don't know about you, but when I think of carrots, I just think of orange carrots. I know you can get the rainbow coloured ones, but I just think carrots should be orange. But I thought, let's have a go at black. Will that put me off? Will I see this carrot and look at it black and think, is that appetising? I don't know. But, you know, you never know, do you, till you have a go. Now, I've got organic tomato and garlic. which is one I could try. You know, it's just trial and error to see what will grow and what won't really, especially as most of them will have to be outside. I've got Mirasol chili seeds. Now these are more what they use in Mexico, is Mirasol. Now there's only a few seeds in this pack, but I'm going to give them a go. I've got a heat mat, and this will be grown in the house, obviously not outside. It will be nice to try something different. Obviously I've got salad leaves there, Claytonia, and mixed spicy leaves, some more broad beans, Carmesin, which I'm going to plant. Those will go in just a small plot, just a small bit. Sorrel, I may or may not grow up there. Now I've got the organic tomato green zebra. Now I think I might have a bit of a problem growing that outside, but you don't, like again, it's just a trial and error with some of these things, and I will know by the end of the season which I can grow and which I can't, and then that'll help me for next year to know what I will grow. Obviously I've got ordinary spring onions and rockets, of course, which I wanted to do in there. Cauliflowers I don't think I'm going to bother with. I really think they are difficult to grow at the best of times, and in my little plot I'm not sure I can really put the room for those, so I'm afraid that'll have to be taken to one side for now. Now the Asturian I've got outside, as you see, the little tree cabbage, which we'll see how that goes too. I mean, if it gets decimated by slugs or butterflies I might not bother with that again, and that's the problem I think with brassicas. They are a troublesome crop, especially when it comes to pests, and I really don't want to be spending all my time trying to protect about 3 or 4 cabbages, which is all I could probably grow in the garden, when there's so many other crops that are more pest resistant and I can get more out of. So I will probably not bother with many brassicas. The rest are all herbs and things, and flowers that were free with magazines. So that's really all what I'll be growing. Now I need to obviously figure out the times of which these are going to be growing and how they're going to follow on from the previous crops that will be in the beds already. So that is my next task. Now this took me almost 2 days to do. It's certainly not necessary to do, it's just something I have done for me. I've got my little plan with my numbers on. I had to add a couple more because I'd missed a couple off, so I've got them on there. And what I've done is I've typed a list of vegetables that I will be growing in my garden with my seeds. So I've got that. And then what I've done is actually I've done a list of what vegetables are going to go in what bed. So I can just look at this and I'll look at Rockies and I think, right, that goes into bed or pot number 6. And it just makes it easy for me to go when I'm planting, or I've got my little seeds up here, I'll know where they're going, which is why I've compiled this. I've also compiled a date for sowing and planting. So yes, I'm obviously sad to spend time doing this, but it was just, I like planning things, and this is just my little thing. You don't certainly have to do this at all. But because I've got about 30 different vegetables in there, if it was 5, life would be so much easier, but because I've got so many and I'm trying to use and utilise every bit of space I've got in the garden, I find this is my way of doing it. So I've got the dates for sowing. So I've got like in February next month I will be sowing the chili seeds, and the broad beans will go direct into the ground. And then I've got all my March and my April, so I know what I'm sowing on each month. And the other 2 are just not necessary, but I did them anyway. These are planting out, so just in case I got a bit lost on, you know, when things are growing, if they need to be planted out yet, I've got this list to say get them planted out. And the last one is harvesting, and it's obviously a rough one. You know, some will harvest all through, some will be different than this. It was just a rough idea of to keep an eye out of what I will be getting. It shows me each month what kind of vegetables I should be getting out of the garden, which is nice to see, because it just showed that you've got something coming out every month, which is what I wanted. So that is my little compilation. that is what I've done for today. So I'm all set and ready to go now. I've got my little plans sorted out of where things are going. I've got my seeds, I think apart from one, which is pumpkin, which I'll get later. I've got everything, the potatoes are chitting, the room is ready, and it's just a matter of waiting for that weather just to warm up a little bit so we can actually start planting. It's exciting times ahead. Keep tuned. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.